Okay. Happy holidays, everybody. It's good to see you all here. What a crowd. Thanks for coming. It's Friday, December 6, 2024, and you know what that means. It's time for Fishtrap Fireside. That's right. Fishtrap Fireside is our monthly reading series designed to showcase local writers. And each month you get a little shot of what people, your neighbors, your family, your workmates are thinking about and writing down. And each month it's quite a variety pack. I really want to welcome all of you who maybe this is your first time at Fishtrap, or maybe your first time at Fishtrap Fireside, or first time in a long time. Super happy to have you here. And of course, all you folks watching out there on Fishtrap's YouTube channel and at fishtrap.org, we're happy to have you here too. Here's how Fireside works. We have three, well, this month is an anomaly. We have three featured acts, I'll call it this month. And each group gets about, each person gets about 10 minutes to just share something, a story that they've been writing or something that they've been writing down. It's always nice when they get a nice warm welcome. So when I mention these folks, give them a big round of applause, okay? So they have a lot of, know that they're welcomed up here. Our first readers is a collaboration. I love partnerships and collaborations. We're going to get hear from a poet and a visual artist, Dustin Lyons and Leah Svendsen. Also, one of our favorites reading tonight is Gregg Kleiner. And I kind of think Nancy is kind of a local because she comes to Summer Fishtrap every year, but we have a special guest from Union County. Nancy Knowles is reading tonight. That's right. And afterwards, we take a short intermission where you can refill your glass, you can get some more something to eat. Today, we have a raffle going on over here. You can buy raffle tickets. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And then afterwards, we come back for the open mic section where 5 people have up to 5 minutes to share something that they've been working on. It's always fun. It's always a surprise. I hope you stick around for that. How many spots do we have open? Any, Jessica? Nobody has signed up for the open mic. This might be your chance. But don't get up and sign up for it until we take the intermission. All right, before we get started, each month we have a sponsor for Fishtrap Fireside. This month it's important to acknowledge that our old pals Terminal Gravity Brewing is the sponsor. That's right, thanks Terminal Gravity. Middle of nowhere, center of the universe. Next time you go to the pub, say, hey, thanks for sponsoring Fishtrap Fireside. That was cool. All right, let's get to our first featured readers. Like I said, I really like when we have partnerships with other organizations, when Fishtrap partners, and I really like artistic collaborations across genres. And so when I heard, when Leah and Dustin told me that they worked on a book together, I thought it would be just the greatest thing to have them here. It's an artistic collaboration. They're friends. They love Wallowa County, and they both decided to create a book featuring Dustin's poems and Leah's paintings. It's called Passage. Have any of you seen this out here before? How about all of you out there? It's a beautiful book, and I thought that it would be a great opportunity to have Dustin read his poems and show some of Leah's paintings on the TVs. These are also her paintings. We'll learn more about encaustic painting later. But how they put it, it's a collection of paintings and poems that draw a line between the wild and rugged landscapes of Oregon's Wallowa country and the creative inner worlds of 2 artists. Leah Svendsen was born in the county and grew up in the trees along Hurricane Creek. She received her BA in art from Lewis and Clark College and soon thereafter fell in love with encaustic painting. Ask her what that's all about. Leah opened Element in Joseph, a shop, gallery, and studio where she sells her artwork, represents other local artists, and shares her passion of encaustic painting through teaching. Dustin graduated from the University of Washington with a BA in English literature. Following this, he spent a decade living out of a backpack and seeing the world. He eventually found his home in Wallowa County, where he builds shoes, roams the hills, and puts pen to paper. Please welcome Dustin and Leah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike. I'm going to read a poem written by my dear friend Dustin Lyons. It's in our book. It's one of my favorites, and it's called Passage. It's a game of momentum in a funhouse labyrinth. Forward to an old scare, backward to new delight. The foot of the mind and the foot of the heart, fighting for direction in an over-tight shoe. As night follows day, nothing could be as obvious as incertitude to ultimate outcome. There is no need then to trip along in sweaty hesitation. There is but one path to the center and back. Only in mirrors can one find a minotaur. Only with eyes tightly shut, a dead end. I've been before in these unworn shoes, each present step bespoke as the past. I've blistered and healed and blistered again from the breaking in. Up, down, forward, back. These labyrinth walls have aired my slack and my breathless chambers. They've keyed into my eyes at least one clear admonishment. Make process your fetish, or life goes stale. Thank you.
Big thanks to Leah. It's nice to hear somebody else read it. I read these over and over at home. And a big thanks to Fishtrap for having us and letting us showcase this book. So the first poem I'm going to read, I've got 3 for you from the book. Forever in a Day. Awake so late, again, the vigil light, later then. After the owls have swallowed their quarries, and the pines their carnal bouquet, before the scythe of my musing reaps the vaulted brink and slips away. If there were more of these fingernail moons afloat in the night sky, I might imagine that the sun fled not for itchy feet, but in a cold sweat. I would sing to each crescent cast off, as I do now for this one. Songs that reflect the July of your face, the forenoon dew of your breath, your sizzling crown and wildflower feet. Songs to calm the dawn and my rising, falling, racing heart, too. Up so early, again, the primping lark, earlier then. Before the stars nod off under the spell of the nearest one. Before the baying maids of labor slay the sons of strange dreams. Before anything feels too clasped, too clenched, too awful real. In my window, rippled and twisted with bits of impurity, sweet and savage as the spit of a mistress. The icicles fetch the gold light of my lamp, the swerve of my throat, the wet stretch of my eyes. Forever in a day, on the lit, frozen tip of a fall. And the second one is entitled She, S-H-E-E. Nary a heart more aged for flame than the one that savors the dark. Flaxen, fay, a capering mane, the moon upon her arc. Cattail, salmonberry, sword fern, curly thatch. She lifts the hasp on a secret Sylvania of the departed. Into skull caps and mandibles, wishbones and burls, she knives her terrors and incantations, her dreams and versalettes of bawling seas and buzzing swamps, of staircase falls and shimmering moors, of love's rouge tutorial, of blues ancestorial, of serpentine tongues and Sheila Nagigs, a Gorgon roar splitting the black peat of her lips. Something olden, arch, something deadly ace, something copperhead, cedar skin, sage in that gaze. 2 umber eyes burnt in blood, too whispered, too thrashing, two kilns for her collection of clay men. And the final one is entitled Moving Wildly. Rising, falling, how many moons have I lost behind the draping tincture of a single black cloud? For one swift little rip in that stocking of fog, I roll another smoke, I take another drink, I mark another page. All that champing pandemonium of the self, a racing brain for a hungry tongue. All the eidolons, the blind alleys, that breast fire, those cold feet, puzzled out in simple silhouette. Howlers, crawlers, bobcats, buzzards. Some people are critters first, spurred by a taste for flesh and serenade, reigned by the sure and shameless beauty of wild things moving wildly. To recall all I've forgotten, up came the wind, with her Neptune blues and serrated glades, her alabaster shoots and arias of glass, a mischief of magpies, a crown of ruby drews, a new face with old eyes, a new face with old eyes, gusting past my earthly grasp, echoes of deepest sweetness, her fair and wooing illusions, hanging over the dreams I was born to, crawling up my arm like a caterpillar. Like that midsummer morn when everything was just so flawless with lace and pearls, with sweat and animal tracks, that at once it fills and breaks my heart. Thank you.
Thanks, folks. At the intermission, Leah and Dustin will be over there, and you can take a look at the book. You can get one signed for yourself or somebody in your life for the holidays. So I think it's pretty cool. Thanks, folks. It is the holiday season, so much going on. I do want to tell you a couple things. Next Saturday, December 14, right here, Fishtrap is opening the doors to a bunch of vendors, including Wild Carrot, called Winterfest. It's, I think, from 11 till the parade is at 6 or something like that. You can come in here, warm up, look at some crafts, take something home, stocking stuffers. I hope you stop by and say hi. Speaking of stocking stuffers, tonight you can take home something from the Fishtrap merch catalog. We have hoodies and sweatshirts and T-shirts and koozies and mugs and thermally things, and yeah, send somebody the gift of Fishtrap for the holidays. Here's another idea. Give the reader in your life a copy of The Cold Millions by Just Walter. Do you want to know why? Because this is the big read book for January and February. We as a community, each year's Fishtrap tries to pick a book that we can all read and share as a community. And this year's book is a novel. Takes place in early 20th century Spokane. So there are a lot of things you'll notice. And the kickoff is January 9, where Fishtrap has collaborated with the Wallowa Valley Music Alliance on a program called Songs of the People. There's a lot of the labor movement that goes on in Songs of the People. Yes. It's a little red. But Janice Carper here and folks from the Wallowa Valley Music Alliance are putting on an interactive kind of evening where people will pop out of the crowd, dress in your best 1909 garb. Many of you are already, myself included. And come and have a great time. That is Thursday, the 9th of January. One more thing before we get to our next reader. Right now, Fishtrap is applications for summer Fishtrap scholarships and fellowships are open right now through New Year's Day. So if you know somebody who would bloom with the summer Fishtrap experience, but otherwise might not be able to go without a little help, encourage them to apply for a scholarship. There's no application fee. You just have to tell us why you'd like to go to summer Fishtrap and why not getting a little help might keep you from being able to go. We have 4 specific named scholarships: the Bryn Lundy Memorial Scholarship, the Frank Connolly Memorial Scholarship, the Sally Bowerman Bob Hall Scholarship for Women, and then just a general all-age scholarship. So you can go to fishtrap.org and apply. We'd love to have you do that. All right. Let's get to our second reader. This is not the first time, but not the last either. The son of school teachers, Gregg Kleiner grew up with a love of the outdoors. At age 16, he spent a year as an American Field Service exchange student in Thailand, where he lived for a month in a Buddhist monastery. Yeah. Kleiner is the author of the novel Where River Runs to Sky, which was a finalist for the Patterson Fiction Prize and the Oregon Book Award. His first book for kids, Please Don't Paint Our Planet Pink, asks what might happen if we could see CO2 puffing up into the Earth's atmosphere. He's, Gregg has done a lot of stuff. He's been a wildlife biologist, a journalist. He was a Fishtrap writer in residence some years ago, a dairy goat farmer, and is currently project coordinator for the Joseph Branch Trail with Rail. Welcome, Gregg Kleiner.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out, and thanks to Dustin and Leah for mixing words and wax. It's pretty cool. That's a great collaborative. I read the book a while back. It's very good. I want to thank the entire Fishtrap team here for creating this space where Sherry's stories can be shared, because I believe stories are really important. Did I have sherry for dinner tonight? No. I didn't. I believe stories can, they build human connection, they build community, and they can actually save lives. For me these days, there's a lot of sadness and some sorrow out there in the world, and I believe stories can also help us through those times. Isaac Dennison, the Danish author of Out of Africa, once said, "All sorrows can be born if you put them into a story or tell a story about them." So I appreciate this space and for storytelling and all that the Fishtrap folks do, and thanks to you all for coming out. Tonight I'm going to read the opening chapter from a novel called The Shrine Maker, and it's about a brother and sister who, Rachel and Tej are their names. They grow up on an Oregon dairy over on the coast. They have parents who both have hidden secrets that they don't share with the kids until later. And Tej grows up on the dairy. He eventually flees to New York City, where he works for a big agricultural tech company in New York. While he's there on 9/11, he sees the Twin Towers, comes down, gets in his car, and starts driving back to Oregon just on the back roads. So this first chapter is from Rachel's point of view, and it gives you a sense of Rachel and Tej's parents and their secrets. Oh, and I want to dedicate the reading tonight to the memory of my mother, Betty Kleiner, who died on this night 29 years ago outside Silverton. She was driving back from playing bridge and got hit by a drunk driver. So, I know. Anyway, here's Rachel. Betty Kleiner. Rachel. Both of our parents were obsessed. Our father with the shrines he built out in the pump house late at night from recycled wood and scraps of tin and other stuff most people would consider just junk. Old knobs off of cabinets, mismatched hinges, bits of leather, shards of colored glass, pitted ball bearings. He spray-painted gold and glued on. And our mother, with her unending assortment of angels she found at thrift shops and church bazaars and brought home to perch on shelves and windowsills and other horizontal surfaces around our farmhouse, where I grew up with my parents and my one and only brother, Tej. Deeper down, though, I learned that our parents were both afflicted. There's a difference between obsession and affliction. I know this now, so many years later. One can mask the other. They can overlap and be tangled up together the way roots do deep down in dark soil. Some afflictions can heal, others can't. But as a young girl growing up on our Oregon dairy farm, less than a mile from where the Pacific washes this edge of the continent, I didn't really notice any of it. I should have, I suppose, because Mother's angels were everywhere. But they accumulated so slowly, all sorts and sizes taking up residence in our 2-story farmhouse that leaned among ratty barns, a big, massive, big-leaf maple tree, and 2 silos. The shorter silo was ancient and wooden and weather-beaten. The taller one metal and more modern, its white dome white as the milk our muddy Holsteins produced. It would be inside the old silo late at night, a few days after September 11th, that I would at last learn the truth behind our father's obsession, about his affliction. His had to do with angels too, in a way, but over in the steamy jungles of Vietnam, where he'd lost his twin brother and the baby girl I didn't know about until that night in the silo. And by then I had a baby girl of my own. It was on this side of the Pacific, however, here on the foggy, cool coast of Oregon, where Mother amassed her army of angels. They were made of most everything: porcelain, plastic, pewter, painted wood, cut crystal, crocheted yarn. And they ranged in size from a dainty one fashioned from a filbert shell and the dusty wings of a real monarch butterfly, to the well-muscled, curly-headed male angel that stood nearly 3 feet tall at the bottom of the stairs in the living room. This biggest angel our mother called Gabe, short for Gabriel in the Bible. Gabe was made of pale, pinkish blue marble, his head bowed slightly, his stone wings folded against his back. He held his hands out in front as if in prayer, but lower down, like the forearms had given in to gravity. The palms were pulled apart a little and cupped some, so it was hard to tell if Gabe was saying a prayer or hoping for a handout. Coiled down inside these half-cupped, part-praying hands, our mother kept a rosary of shiny black beads. Out of habit, she touched Gabe on the forehead with her thumb every time she went upstairs, then brushed his cheek with the backs of her fingers when she came down, leaving a faint residue of oil from her hands on Gabe's stone skin that attracted ash from the wood stove and dust from the farmhouse that darkened over time, making it look as if Gabe's left cheek and forehead had been bruised a little. Once each year on Holy Thursday, Mother removed the dusty rosary and asked Dad to carry Gabe into the kitchen and stand him down inside the white enamel sink. There she washed Gabe's feet the way Jesus had washed his apostles' feet on that very day, and then washed the rest of him, the bruises flowing away down his marble muscles. Mother patted Gabe dry with cotton dish towels and asked Dad to carry him back to his post at the base of the stairs. Then she washed and dried the rosary and recoiled the black beads back down inside the freshly cleaned fingers that were now almost translucent, the color of skim milk below Gabe's radiant face. What all these creatures our mother collected had in common were wings, spread, folded, drooping, made of fabric, feathers, cellophane, and those monarch butterfly wings. And halos were made of copper wire, pipe cleaners painted gold, aluminum foil, yellow yarn. When I was small, I sometimes pretended the angels were fairies, dreamed they came to life at night, tossed off their halos, and flitted through the house, granting my wishes with tiny Tinkerbell wands. Wishes were what I resorted to when my prayers didn't seem to be working, or when my deepest fear reared up, that my only brother, Tej, would take off for the big cities he was always dreaming about, and I would be left on the farm alone. Our mother's favorite angel wasn't Gabe, but one made of glossy porcelain that stood about 6 inches tall in a saucer on the windowsill above the kitchen sink. A shy red smile painted on her lips, a turquoise robe drawn down her back, and a golden halo glinting on her dark hair. When Mother washed the dishes, she slipped off her wedding ring and hung it on one of the angel's wingtips, sometimes leaving a clump of soap suds sliding down the porcelain hips to melt in the saucer, where just the bare toes peeked out from under the blue robe, and a chalky residue formed as the well water and dish detergent evaporated. Our mother was so skinny, her shoulder blades looked like wing buds trying to break out through the back of her sweater or blouse when she stood at the sink or stove or ironing board, or the few times I saw her without any clothes through the thin skin of her back. But Mother's wings never sprouted in time to save her. The windowsills in our farmhouse grew clotted with angels, as did the toilet tank in the bathroom, the high shelf in the yellow kitchen, and the top of the dark upright piano that stood in the hallway. I was a small girl when I discovered our father sometimes played that piano in secret, a dog-eared black and white photograph of his only brother propped against the piano wood above his moving hands. That was the first indication of our father's affliction, although at that age I had no idea of the long-term toll war takes on the minds of the people who fight in them. I was a teenager when I started seeing our mother's affliction, the illness beneath all the angels. But by then it was too late. On the 6th night of December, wearing her flannel nightgown covered with faded monarch butterflies and clutching her favorite porcelain angel, she went out to the barn through the dark as we were all asleep, managed to climb the wooden ladder to the hayloft door high in the barn wall, and tried to fly. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gregg. Hey, last month I took a moment realizing I'd never really taken a chance to acknowledge Fishtrap's board, and that was really fun. This month I want to acknowledge my coworkers for just a quick second. Sometimes when I come to Fireside on a Friday night, I kind of feel like a game show host. You know, I show up and the lights are on and the videos are playing and there's fruit and that's because my coworkers are so good at their jobs, man. Jennifer Hobbs is the person who decorates the windows in the front and makes sure that all the food and drink is set, and she's out in the community talking to people all the time. It's great to be working with Jennifer. Janice Carper, you're about to enter your 20th year at Fishtrap, if you can believe that. Yeah, man. I wonder how we would ever write her job description, because her list of things that she does and does well goes from here to Wallowa Lake and back. And if she doesn't know how to do it, she figures it out. So it's always a pleasure to work with Janice. Jessica Bogart, who's here tonight, was at Fishtrap and then quit. And then when Devin went on family leave, she said, "Oh, I'll come back and help you guys out." And so it's so great to have Jessica here. And then, of course, our executive director, the captain of the Fishtrap ship, Shannon McNerney, who keeps us upright and in the channel. She's captained us through several storms, and we're still floating and still here. And Shannon just completed her master's degree at the same time. So ask her about that. And so it's really fun to have you folks. But of course, we wouldn't be here and working here if it wasn't for you folks. I hope you keep Fishtrap in mind for your end of year giving. It really does make a big difference. Without you folks, we can't put on shows like this, Fishtrap Fireside. So it really does help when you keep Fishtrap in your thoughts and help keep us rolling. Anything helps. With that, we have a raffle going on tonight at the break or after at the end of the night. You can buy raffle tickets to get something really cool. What is it? Oh, this is nice. There's a basket with donations from local businesses, and you can take a look at it there, and a Fishtrap merch and workshop discount bundle. That's cool. We'll do the workshop. We'll do the drawing at the next Fireside, first on the 3rd of the new year. Okay, let's get to our third reader. Like I say, we oftentimes talk about Fishtrap Fireside as celebrating voices from Wallowa County, but every once in a while we have a friend who's coming through or somebody who is involved in Fishtrap in meaningful ways and invite them to come and read, and this is really... Nancy, how many times have you attended Summer Fishtrap? 7? 8? Lifelong learner. I think once you said you're addicted to Summer Fishtrap. If you're going to be addicted to something, that's not bad. Longtime Fishtrap participant Nancy Knowles writes mostly literary media analysis, grant proposals, and poetry. Her poems have appeared in War, Literature and the Arts, Grand Little Things, Amethyst Review, and Wild Roof Journal, among many others. She earned first place for her Shakespearean sonnet, Diamond Craters, from the Oregon Poetry Association. That's awesome. Originally from California, Nancy has taught English and writing at Eastern Oregon University, EOU, in LeGrand since 2000. During her sabbatical this past year, Nancy launched 2 yoga book projects and spent a month in India. Her first creative nonfiction piece, Super Blue Moon Yoga, was published on the Oregon Humanities website in October. Please welcome from Union County, Nancy Knowles.
Hi. It's so fun to be here. Thank you for this wonderful event and this opportunity to share poetry with you. I love Fishtrap, and I can't imagine life without it, so I really, really appreciate this whole organization, and yeah, I'm looking forward to another summer. So, speaking of wax, this poem is called Wax On. Wax me, oh, glorious chapstick, for your nectar foments uprising. Your cherry scent, like all the days spent in sunlight. Your name, the balm, primes every gasp, every harsh no. Wonder the maidens love you. Let us hurry, O wicked candle. Let me smear your crushed jewels on my thirsty. Let me, darkened by summer and just as lovely, swivel your tube so long, I have tended vineyards not my own. Let me, my love, bathe myself in your carmine perfume. So I grew up in California and had an opportunity to go back some years ago with my child, who's here tonight. And this is one of my favorite poems that has to do with that trip. We were at Newport Beach, and in the poem there's something called Ruby's, which is a diner that's at the end of a pier. This is called Songs of Salt Water and Celestial Bodies. 1. Near Balboa Pier, my child climbs a jungle gym. Sun plunging over the line of ocean, the eclipse of my marriage, a diamond ring of flame in Ruby's window. I raced through gridlock to arrive on time, but diners had already drawn the blinds. Over the surf, a single prop plane tows a banner reading heartbreak, heartbreak, littered like sand and salt on cast-off novels. Debtor, Balboa chased slaves to the sea, preserved in bulky island mansions built on betrayal and mud flats, sewage and silt. 2. Yet a childhood sun still warms my bones, in a raft slung in the surf, perfectly poised between retreating tide and rising swell, my hands and feet in the lazy waves, the bluffs neither growing nor shrinking, peace enough to lull the lifeguards into idle sentinels. I bike around the back bay to the beach, remains of mammoths cradle halophytes, salt lovers submerged in the infinite salt marsh. Perhaps like buckwheat we adapt to amputation, that lost limb unfurling as the stars begin to swim. 3. On wooden pilings, orange starfish climb. My child flings their body into a line of trim December waves, hair knit with sand and seaweed, knowing even big waves are best met by diving into them. A ferry drifts sideways across the bay to dock at the Balboa Fun Zone. The Ferris wheel inserts us into sky. Moon-drawn and odd, we pause high, compartment swaying like a metronome, Newport arranged below. Dusk arrives, and on the eaves, 1,000 lights revive. As Mike said, I went to India this year. I was privileged to be there for a month, and it was fabulous. Happy to talk to anyone who's on their way or has come back. This is a poem about the Golden Temple in Amritsar. It's called Holy Dip, and it surprised me that actually the getting in the water there in the holy water is called the Holy Dip. I was like, wow, okay. Sheathed in gold, the Sikh temple floats on the water of the marble pool. In good company, I circumambulate, gifting myself this calm path between the present and meeting my driver at 11. His father has died and he needs to be with family. Below the surrounding city, the temple complex rests in a basin, symbol of humility. I've checked my shoes, washed my ego, laid soft pashmina over my hair. 4 gates admit all to one divine causeway, our shared goal. Across from the temple, men strip in the open, enter the water, sink thrice beneath the surface. Women bathe in private behind lacy marble screens. Content only to walk, I struggle to reconcile this peace with violence that has occurred here. Massacres, sacred water befouled with entrails. 1984, the year I graduated high school, the Indian Army routed Sikh militants only to see the Prime Minister assassinated. I enter the sanctuary via the women's line, copying other women who kneel, reaching through a forest of ankles to touch the threshold, then fingers to foreheads. Beneath the golden chandelier, young men chant hymns, work the bellows of a harmonium. A priest rakes paper rupees into the cleft of a wooden box. Another accepts a bolt of green cloth. Along the walls, pilgrims rest and pray. As I depart beneath the clock tower, I remember other baptisms. The Merced River, heart quaking, called by the green pool, other kids swinging over a flood of tiny mirrors, shrieking and letting go. The Pacific, cradled in an inflated raft in the tide's sweet spot, slow waves rising with lazy threat and subsiding. The neighborhood pool, my breath held underwater, silent lapis, eyes raised to a flickering disk of sun, that quiet awe, costing all that I have. I have one more poem, and this was written this summer. It's definitely a Fishtrap poem. The last couple years that I've attended Fishtrap, I like to camp at the the state park, but all of the campsites have been taken, and so I end up at. Do you know this? The Scenic Meadows and go-karts. Scenic Meadows and go-karts. So I've been camping at the Scenic Meadows and go-karts. So this is a poem that's partly about that. It's called Lost and Found at Wallowa Lake. Retentive, I cling to scraps of paper that testify, certify, prove something, to game pieces for games I cannot now find, in the belief that peace and game will one day reunite. Lately, I lose things, forget to do things. I left articles of clothing in the campsite bathroom, or thought I did till I found them. And yet, the world supplements my attempts to keep things together. Yesterday, I missed a credit card, maybe left in a pocket like the lip balm I washed. I texted my child to check pockets of the jacket hanging behind the back door at home, thinking I should go ahead and contact the bank. I sifted memories, seeking the last time I used the card, and then my mind moved on, forgetting I had forgotten. In the evening, after a glass of wine, I remembered. I forded the flood of parents and children lined up for go-karts. The attendant handed me my card. This morning, as I was brushing teeth, I noticed an earring resting on the soap dispenser, half of the set I had planned to wear today. Can you feel the supple bunting of the world wrapping us? Even when energy leaves the body I inhabit, I will not be lost. Thank you.
And thank you for making the drive. We appreciate it. So now we're going to take a break. If you want to sign up for the open mic, there are 5 spots available. We'll take about a 10-minute break. Fill your glass. Buy a raffle ticket. Talk to Leah and Dustin, and we'll see you back in about. Oh, the other thing. One more thing. I am so. One more thing, and then you can go. One more thing. I am so energized by seeing so many new and familiar faces in the crowd that I haven't seen in a long time. Thank you for coming and being a part of Fishtrap Fireside. Okay, break.